Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Wednesday, October 4th. We're going to take an updated look at Tilray today. So we're going to start here on the intraday, then we'll zoom out, check out our levels, and then we'll flip over to the think or swim study and see where we're situated there. Now, Tilray today, big sell-off here coming into close. So let's just reorient ourselves to the levels that we have from yesterday into today. So these are our levels from the daily. You see it's just sort of waffling around here yesterday. Ultimately tries to build a base over this 2252 that we had, and that carries through into the pre-market today, and then a nice push up, coming just shy, it looks like, yeah, like 7 thousandths of a penny shy of the level that we had on the chart here, and then wicked off and just could not even put in a pinch of hope of holding this 232.4 that we have on the chart, and just an enormously strong sell-off at open, down 10% on this 10-minute candle. So pretty wild there, but where did it catch? It caught just shy of this 2079, and then when it had additional time to play it out on the next candle, it came within, once again, thousandth of a penny to the level that we had on the chart. So the levels are holding up really, really well. I'm happy with how the levels are producing during the day today. And then after that recovery, hits resistance right here where we had it, tries to build a floor over 211.5, another push, and then doesn't need to come down. So some higher lows here, good sign. Higher highs here, good sign. And then ultimately some, not even higher highs, just sort of flat topping out into close, but at least trying to base over this 222 level. So while it finished down just under 1% today, you have to keep in mind that 10% sell-off at open was really what dragged that made the stock red today for any reason, because the rest of the day was actually pretty solid price action. And even on such a strong move intraday, we caught that level exactly where we had it on the chart, and it's just following nice motion throughout the rest of the day on the levels that we already had on the chart. So to my mind, this was not a terrible day in and of itself. Now, flipping out to the daily, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Now I'm going to get rid of this box. This box is a gap, but I'm going to re-represent this, because if this comes down to fill it, I just want to note it with some horizontal lines so that we have them in there for as long as we need them. I'm going to gray them out so that they don't stand out a ton, but when we get close, they will definitely be noticeable. So if this continues to draw down and it gets into this gap, that gap kicks off at about 190, and then it finishes filling it at about 172. So that's something to maybe keep in mind. This downtrend resistance that was broken, no longer relevant, but we're much further below where we were at that moment anyway. Now we see here just sort of continuing challenges. We have a new downtrend resistance. I'm going to put that on the chart. This will be the most critical piece of the puzzle for Tilray to break the sort of bearish spell that it's under. I'm going to go a little bit more on the aggressive side, put it here, and just note that it's there. It's tried to break it a few times if we go with that sort of more aggressive positioning of the downtrend resistance. But it's continuously just getting drawn back down into it. Now it's getting darn close. If it does sort of wedge out here, we'll see sort of how that takes shape. Again, as it's trying to hold over this 222 at the moment. And that would compress in there really, it would only have tomorrow left, and then come the next trading day, on Friday, it would be outside of that realm. So maybe there's a big motion, set to sort of take place as that happens. We'll have to kind of wait and see. If we get rid of all of these levels and just take a look at where the volume is here, I'm kind of interested to see. It's a pretty heavy volume right around these areas. So sort of interested to see if there's if we can break this wall at 238.6 or so, does it get some sort of smoothish run room up through this range? Probably would catch some resistance, in here somewhere around 250-ish, maybe a bit above 250. 255 looks like it might be a strong level there. But, interesting sort of volume on the daily there. All right, so we're going to flip over to the Think or Swim study. All right, so here's our Think or Swim study. Here we're going to start again on the 10-minute. We're looking at the TTM squeeze indicator down here and the channel. So we see this big push, this big sell-off as the day kicked off today, put us well outside the channel. And then what do we always look for when that happens is we look for the price action to come back into the channel and test the mid-range of the channel. And that's exactly what it did. And so here's another look as to why I don't think that the day actually played out poorly for Tilray bulls. In fact, this has it finishing the day in an uptrend on the 10-minute time frame. And that's due to the fact that it was able to come in here, test the mid-range, sort of continue to wrestle with it, not need to push down anywhere near the lower bound of the channel again, and ultimately gain support over the mid-range and ride the green cloud into close. So pretty solid motion there. That was sort of kicked off by these three trigger candles that we see on the TTM squeeze indicator. Right, it fired, you get a brief counter move there, and then the actual move here as it takes shape up over the mid-range of the channel. So, relatively good motion there. Not to glean too much off of one sort of intraday chart, but it's something to at least keep in mind, because we also felt that way sort of looking at the Webull chart as well. Now in the hour, we see a little bit of a different story, but still stretching through the lower bound of the channel here. But of interest here is this is now on the hour testing the mid-range of the channel, while it is still triggering here, not yet fired. So will it kind of follow suit with the 10 minutes, right, with the lower time frame where it triggered, and then when it fired, it got support over the mid-range and flipped from maybe a neutral trend by that point to a green trend. We see right here we're a neutral trend at the moment. So we'll see if it sort of gets dragged along with the lower time frames or has something else to say. And then on the daily, if we want to see where things are situated there, still as you would imagine in a downtrend from what we were just looking at, we just drew a downtrend resistance line. So of course you would imagine that not yet triggering on the TTM squeeze indicator and still picking up bearish momentum as we look at the histogram on the TTM squeeze as well. Not quite, if I'm looking at sort of the daily chart and the positioning there, I am a little bit, say, unhappy with how well it was holding this low to mid bound of the channel. And then between yesterday and today, it needed to stretch down much, much closer to the actual lower bound of the channel. So that maybe, gives me some hesitation. Thinkorswim giving us some info here. But in any case, potentially additional picking up of this bearish momentum. We'll need to see that start to wind down if it's going to be able to retake the mid-range of the channel there and make a flip. So it's sort of interesting how this is a little bit more pessimistic in my mind on the daily than it is on the hour, and certainly as it is on the 10-minute. But I'm always sort of more apt to lean toward what things are looking like on the daily, just like how we put the levels in on the Webull chart on the daily, because I just think that they're stronger, more indicative of what we're going to see in the coming days and weeks versus just the day-to-day fluctuations that we can see in any particular stock. So what I'm going to want to see tomorrow on this daily chart, if I'm a bull, is it not coming down near this lower bound of the channel at all, but at least pinning itself between this mid-range and the mid-lower bound of the channel, like we saw with these three candles here. I would at least want to see that. If not, just a clear run at the mid-range of the channel, which right now sits at about 249. That's potentially shifting tomorrow as the day kicks off. But that's what I'm going to want to see if I'm a bull. If I'm a bear, pushing down toward the lower bound of the channel as it stretched down there today. That was a nice wick up, but I would want to see more of that action taking place. All right, folks, I hope that you had a happy hump day and that you finish your week off strong in the days ahead. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.